Haunted secrets exposed. 4 sinister autopsy revelations of Amy Winehouse that terrify. Jessica felt the chill in the air as they rolled up to her estranged mother's shabby little house in a forgotten New Jersey suburb. The peeling paint looked like it had been crying for help. She didn't care. A fresh start. That was all she needed. But as she and her teenage daughter, Lily, unloaded their boxes, something felt off. Shadows danced beneath the house's dark corners, whispering secrets of the past. Unbeknownst to her, this house had a reputation. One that stretched back to the haunting tragedy of Amy Winehouse. Legend whispered how her spirit roamed lost souls like Jessica and Lily. Unease festered as they stacked dusty boxes. Fading family photos, age-old trinkets, all encased in neglect. But it wasn't until Jessica found a diary, tucked behind a loose floorboard, that the terror began. The cover was cracked, and the pages mournfully revealed their secrets. Strange symbols, hauntings, and sinister incidents tied to her mother's past and Amy Winehouse's chilling demise. Jessica's heart raced as she felt the house breathe around her, the shadows inching dangerously close. The first night, Lily tossed and turned, trapped in nightmares drenched in dread. Jessica's chest tightened. When she peeked into Lily's room, her daughter was wide-eyed, muttering words of warning. "They're outside, Mom. They want me." Panic gripped Jessica's heart. Is this what moving back was meant to be? Just then, a dark figure flitted past the window, causing Jessica to jump. She dismissed it, until the neighbor, Mr. Waters, wrapped in the cloak of night, warned her to leave. But why? The tight-knit community, that once felt welcoming, cast shadowy glances. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Desperate for answers, Jessica and Lily sneaked out one stormy night, raindrops spattering like ghostly fingers against the pavement. Shadows whispered secrets as they moved, dodging the suspicious stares of those who knew too much. They found an old record store owner who revealed a web of abuse, corruption, and dark rituals that stood between the town and Amy's tragic end. This cursed cycle was poised to repeat. Suddenly, the serenity shattered when Lily didn't return home that night. Jessica's world spun. She raced through the pitch-black streets, her voice cracking, "Lily," echoing through the suffocating silence. The faces of the neighbors loomed around her, each insidious gaze revealing secrets they buried deep. The symbols she noticed before glowed faintly on the house like the eyes of something ancient, beckoning her closer. Heart pounding, she stumbled back, feeling the air thicken with dread. Was it a warning or an invitation? As the shadows flickered dangerously at the edges of her vision, Jessica was left trembling, caught in a web of terrifying uncertainty. The community she once thought was friendly, were they all part of something darker? As the wind howled and the night wrapped itself tighter around her, Jessica feared she was losing her grip on sanity. And Lily, where was her daughter? In this house, what once felt like hope now felt like a curse. Was she too late to save her? The answer loomed, sinister and looming. Jessica's heart raced, each beat a frantic reminder that time was slipping away. The shadows whispered louder now, the chill of the night air slicing through her resolve. "Lily!" she called again, desperation clawing at her throat. The silence that greeted her was deafening, wrapping around her like a shroud. Suddenly, a rustling sound drew her attention toward the backyard. Tension coiled within her as she stepped into the darkness outside, the porch creaking beneath her weight, echoing her uncertainty. Moonlight barely pierced the canopy of low-hanging branches, casting deep shadows that seemed to breathe and shift as she ventured further. "Lily!" Jessica's voice wavered, her breath fogging in the cool air. Fear gripped her, and she clutched the diary against her chest like a talisman. The strange symbols scribbled within seemed somehow alive, glowing faintly in her memory as if guiding her toward something or someone. A sudden rustle broke her focus. Jessica pivoted, her heart thudding heavily. Staring back at her were a pair of eyes. Not Lily's. These were dark, reflecting an intelligence that sent waves of cold terror crashing over her. "Get back inside," a voice called out, slicing through the night, pulling her back into the moment. Mr. Waters stood at the edge of the shadows, his expression a mask of tight control. "You're not safe out here." "But my daughter," she started, fear and anger mixing in the pit of her stomach. "I know what you think you saw," he interrupted sharply, stepping closer. "But trust me, it's worse than you know. You need to leave this place." "Leave? I can't." She felt the walls of her sanity closing in. "They'll find her. I won't abandon her." The neighbor's face twisted with urgency, his eyes darting towards the house. "It's not just the town," he whispered. "You don't understand, the darkness here calls to her." Jessica took a step back, unsure of whether to breathe in the warning or snarl at the insinuation. What did he know? She had a right to protect her family. She would not leave Lily behind. Cutting through the tension, a chilling wind swept across the yard, swirling leaves into a frenzy. Jessica shivered, feeling the air grow thick and heavy with dread. "No!" A scream erupted from within the house, chilling her blood. It was Lily's voice, captive in a spell of nightmares. Jessica stumbled back toward the house, but Mr. Waters gripped her arm, his grip like iron. "Listen to me," he hissed. "The diary is connected to her. It calls to the spirits." "The spirits?" She shook her head, trying to break free of his hold. "What are you talking about?" But she sensed he was right. The diary had revealed something darker than expected. Memories flowed back, shadows pulling at threads of her mind, twisting them into nightmares. And now her daughter was part of that horror. Fighting against fear, she yanked her arm free and broke into a sprint towards the door. With each step, dread crawled up her spine, but she couldn't allow herself to falter. She reached the threshold, slamming the door open. Inside, the air felt charged, crackling with unseen energy. "Lily!" She screamed, desperation echoing against the walls. Then she froze. In the living room, the shadows had morphed into dark figures, swirling and writhing with malicious intent, their hollow eyes fixing on her. And there, at their center, was Lily, standing as if entranced by their power, her tiny frame swallowed by darkness. "Lily!" Jessica's heart shattered as she rushed forward, but the figures flickered, blocking her path with a wall of despair. Panic surged through her like a tidal wave. Just then, Lily turned, her expression blank, a haunting reflection of something unearthly. "They're calling for me, Mom," she spoke softly, almost under a spell. Jessica felt a shock of icy air wrap around her throat, squeezing tighter, cutting off her scream. In that moment, she realized this was no ordinary homecoming. It was a descent into madness. "Lily, you have to fight it." She reached desperately, hand outstretched. But the shadows tightened their grip, pulsing with dark energy as the air turned oppressive. And then, the pulse of energy shifted again like a heartbeat. Jessica realized as the darkness swelled that it was feeding on her fear, becoming fuller, more menacing. She had to act quickly as the dark figures surged toward her. Jessica's last coherent thought seeped through her mind. What had she unleashed when she opened that diary? The answer lay veiled in the house's whispers, one she was painfully close to uncovering. The chilling question echoed in the depths of her heart: would she have to sacrifice everything to save her daughter from the curse that bound them? The darkness coiled tighter, a tangible horror that pulled Jessica into its depths. She could see Lily, her little girl, her light caught in a web of shifting shadows, mesmerized by figures that tugged at her soul. "Lily!" The word felt like a desperate gasp, an echo of hope amidst the chaos. Jessica lunged forward, but the shadows twisted in ways that defied reason. Panic surged through her veins, electric and raw. She could barely breathe. "Mom," Lily's voice floated back, serene yet sorrowful, mingling with a sinister harmony that churned in the air. "They want me to stay." "No." Jessica couldn't let this be the end. An image of Lily's laughter burst through her mind, a radiant sun against this chilling backdrop. This ISNTU. Fight it. The malevolent figures paused for a heartbeat, sensing her defiance. The air thickened, a pressure mounting as the shadows shifted, their attention diverting toward her. She could almost hear their laughter, dark, hungry whispers that crept into her mind. Jessica reached for the diary still clutched in her trembling hand. The symbols scrawled within flickered in her memory, a panicked plea for help. She had to remember what it had revealed, the secrets it had kept. The words carved into the pages were keys, her only chance against this encroaching dread. You, Mr. Waters' voice sliced through her thoughts, filled with urgency. He barged into the living room, eyes wide with fear. You need to read the words out loud. It's the only way to fight back. Before she could respond, the shadows recoiled, threatening to engulf them both. Don't look, he shouted, but Jessica felt the pull of the dark figures, the coldness crawling up her skin. Gritting her teeth, she steadied her breath. Her voice wavered but grew stronger with each syllable as she opened the diary, reciting the strange incantation she scarcely understood. The energy in the room changed, pulsating like a heartbeat, echoing with the rhythm of ancient fear. Hold on, Lily, Jessica cried, praying the words would give her daughter strength. She stepped closer, bracing against the oppressive weight of the shadows. But the figure nearest to Lily loomed, towering and insidious. You don't know what you seek, mortal. It hissed, voice a throaty murmur that slithered through her mind like a serpent. This darkness will consume your world, and she will be ours. No, Jessica's heart thundered as she plunged deeper into the words, every syllable a blade aimed at the encroaching despair. The echoes of her daughter's laughter flickered before her eyes, a reminder of what was at stake. Remember us. Lily's voice came suddenly, piercing through the dark veil like a lighthouse in a storm. Mom, remember. The shadows screeched, recoiling as if struck by fire. Jessica's heart raced faster, recognizing the sound of fear within the darkness. She took a breath, her voice firm, powering through the murky echoes. Let her go. White light shot from the diary, illuminating the room, scattering the dark figures. They writhed, shrieking in fury, and Jessica felt warmth flooding back into her body. Freedom surged as she continued to chant, grounding herself with every word. But just as victory seemed close, a golden light enveloped Lily, the shadows encircling her tighter than before. Lily's eyes locked onto her mother's, a heartbreaking connection in the storm of shadows. Mom, if I don't come back, don't you dare say that. Jessica's despair collided with fierce determination. You will come back. I promise. And then the darkness surged, a wave of cold dread crashing against the light. Jessica felt herself being pulled backward, the energy destabilizing. She clenched her jaw, battling against an unseen force that sought to tear them apart. Fight, Lily, Jessica screamed, her voice echoing in the tumult, punctuated by the crackling of energy around her. The world blurred, shadows churning violently, intertwining with desperate hope. Just then, the figures hesitated as if time suspended. And in that fleeting moment, their connection flickered, Jessica reaching, Lily yearning, the fight, splitting strands of fate. Then silence fell. The light dimmed. The diary clattered to the floor. A creeping uncertainty filled the room as shadows began to creep back. What now? Jessica whispered, dread creeping back into her heart. Would she have to face the darkness alone? A low, menacing laughter filled the air. Rippling through the suffocating silence, all that remained was the echo of that sinister call. How much more could she sacrifice to save her child from this hell? The shadows gathered, thickening around Jessica and Mr. Waters. The room pulsed with malevolent energy, air heavy like a damp blanket. Jessica felt it wrap around her, dragging her deeper into despair, as if the darkness tasted her fear. Lily, she screamed, but the word caught in her throat, distorting into a choked sob. Every strand of shadow seemed to twist tighter around her daughter, blocking the way to her light. Mr. Waters stumbled back, eyes darting between the swirling darkness and the still-dimmed light of the diary. "We have to keep going," he urged, panic lacing his voice. "The incantation. Try another part." With shaking hands, Jessica picked the diary back up from the floor, the pages still warm from their burst of light. She flicked through them, heart racing as the shadows crawled forward, tendrils of dark mist, seeking to reclaim what they had lost. "Here," she cried, landing on an unfamiliar paragraph, an eldritch series of symbols that seemed to pulse with a heartbeat. She squared her shoulders, forcing herself to read the words aloud, her voice trembling, yet rising above the shadows. "Anzalaic Untera Vitron." The moment she spoke, the air crackled with energy. The shadow figures recoiled with a guttural hiss, recoiling as if stung. Jessica pushed through, words spilling forth from her lips, each one more desperate than the last. "Lily, keep fighting," she shouted, each pulse of the incantation echoing with fierce hope. But the shadows thickened, rebelling against the force she was unleashing. "I can't hold them," Mr. Waters cried out, staggering against the living room wall, arms raised as if to physically fend off the darkness swirling in. "Look away. Don't let them in," Jessica shouted over the chaos. The laughter returned, crisp with malicious delight, swirling in her ears like a taunting melody. She felt the wall of shadows pressing in around her, cold as grave dirt. They were everywhere now, whispering her failures, her doubts, making her feel small and helpless. "Mom!" Lily's voice, a sweet stain against the dark, trembled through the noise. "The light, it's fading." Jessica's heart dropped. "No." She shook her head fiercely, any hint of surrender slamming shut within her. She dug deep for the remaining scraps of strength. "I won't let you take her." The shadows lunged, a consuming wave of darkness trying to snuff out her voice, drowning her in hopelessness. She stumbled, fighting against the tide. The names she whispered from the diary now blurred with nervous sweat dripping into her eyes. As she fought for clarity, the shadows seemed to grow, ripping laughter echoing. She could almost see the dark figures, distorted faces flickering in and out, reflecting her deepest fears, her failure to protect Lily, a betrayal that left her shivering. "Mom!" Lily's cry broke through the darkness, piercing through her fear like a spear. "Please!" Jessica summoned every ounce of her will, breathing in hard, fighting against the despair that clawed at her throat. "I am here," she shouted, her voice filling the suffocating void. "I am here." The shadows faltered, their weight shifting as if something within them began to unravel. For a fleeting moment, Jessica saw the light beginning to bloom around her, a fragile warmth pushing back against the cold. Suddenly, the laughter stilled, turning to shrieks of rage. The darkness began to shudder, disintegrating in the glowing light. Jessica harnessed the growing power and extended her hand toward Lily, feeling an invisible thread anchor her to her daughter. "Come to me," she screamed, hoping her voice could breach the dark wall that separated them. But then, a shadow broke free. It surged forward, monstrous in size, clawing to snatch Lily away once more. Fear clawed at Jessica's chest. "No, not again." The creature loomed larger, mouth gaping as if hungry to devour them both. Despair uncoiled in her throat, a cry of helplessness. Just as everything faded into darkness again, she realized the thread to Lily was snapping. With a final, desperate breath, she ripped out of her own fear. "I choose light, light that binds us." A blinding flash erupted, shining forth with unspeakable power, as something within her fought through the swirling chaos. And then she was falling, the aura of the light collapsing all around her. Was it defeat, or the awakening of something more terrifying? The light engulfed Jessica, a burning halo of resilience. She felt herself spiraling, the rush of energy both exhilarating and terrifying. Her heart thundered in her chest as her mind raced. Was this the power she de-summoned, or just the remnants of hope crumbling? When she landed, if she had landed at all, she found herself in a vast, dark expanse. There were no walls, no furniture, only an endless horizon of swirling shadows and flickering lights that beckoned her. The air was thick, feeling almost like a living entity, whispering and tugging at her resolve. "Lily!" she shouted again, her voice echoing into the void, swallowed by the darkness. Panic began to sizzle in her veins. She could still feel the connection, that tenuous thread of light binding her to her daughter. It flickered, dimming with every heartbeat. The weight of dread pressed heavy on her chest. A chilling laughter erupted around her. It wasn't just a sound. It was a cacophony of familiar voices, friends, family, past loved ones twisted into mocking figures. They repeated her failures, each word tightening the shadowy grip around her throat. "Why didn't you save me, Jessica?" A distorted voice drifted, reminding her of a lost childhood, a sister whose face faded with age and neglect. "No, I tried." She fought against the memories, forcing them away, but they clawed back harder. "This isn't real. You're not real." The landscape churned, shadows reshaping into grotesque figures, their faces flickering like bad dreams. Each one wore a shroud of darkness that seemed too familiar. Their twisted forms encroached, seeking to crush her under the weight of her regrets. Suddenly, a piercing scream overtook the whisper's Lily's voice. It resonated through the blackness, pulling Jessica toward a shimmering point in the distance. "Mom, please!" Without a second thought, she ran. Each step felt like swimming through thick mud. The shadows lunged and danced around her, taunting her, fingers reaching out as if to drag her back into oblivion. But she pressed on, fueled by a primal urge to save her daughter. "Hold on, Lily." The words burst forth like fire from her lips, igniting the flickers of light anew. The shadows writhed at her command, uneasy in her presence. The shimmering point grew larger, illuminating the darkness with a soft glow. With renewed hope, she sprinted forward, the darkness retreating under the weight of her will. Then she tripped, hitting the ground hard. The connection to Lily surged hot and cold, flickering like a dying lamp. She scrambled to her feet, desperation clawing at her mind. "No, I can't lose her." Suddenly, right before her, the silhouettes of hazy figures became clear. They surrounded the light, a countless mass of dark forms whispering her insecurities and failures, seeping into her mind like poison. "You're not worthy. You'll always fail." Tears streamed down her cheeks, but she stilled her trembling hands. Their whispers were like ice, but she would not break. "I refuse to listen," she roared, her voice booming against the shadows. "I am her mother. I will fight." The shadows recoiled in anger, shrieks echoing as she gathered every ounce of her strength, focusing on that light, their tether. Her body pulsed with warmth, and she thrust her hands forward, summoning that ancient power once more as the dark forms surged at her. Jessica unleashed the shining force within her. A violent wave erupted, pushing against the shadows like the break of dawn. But with a sickening twist, a different face emerged from the darkness. One she knew all too well, a face contorted in rage. "You cannot escape." The shadow loomed larger, far too familiar, blocking the light. Fear ripped through her as the figure snarled, a deep, familiar voice echoing from the abyss. "You don't know the truth." Jessica froze. The light flickered. "What do you mean? What truth?" The shadow seemed to laugh, ominous and dark, multiplying around her. "Everything you think you know is wrong." She stumbled back, the light dimming further. The realization knifed through her, a trap she had stepped into without knowing. The encroaching shadows mocked her as the shimmering light began to fade. Was this the end, or was there still hope? As darkness loomed, the chilling weight of the truth pressed in. What had she truly unleashed? And what secrets lay waiting in the dark? The darkness thickened around Jessica, a visceral weight pressing in on her. Shadows danced hungrily, their twisted forms shifting, stretching towards her like claws eager to snatch at her soul. The familiar voice, ringing with a cruel nostalgia, echoed through the void, wrapping around her like a suffocating shroud. Jessica fought to hold onto her thoughts, to the memory of Lily's laughter. But as the shadows whispered her failures again and again, doubt crept in, insinuating itself like poison. "Everything you think you know is wrong." The shadow hissed, its words dripping with malice. "What are you talking about?" Jessica shouted, anger igniting her fear. "I know my daughter needs me." But the creature merely chuckled, a sound that felt like nails scraping against glass. "Do you even know who she is? What she is?" Her heart raced. The truths she held so dearly began to unravel, thread by thread. "Shut up," she cried, shaking her head violently. "I won't listen to your lies." The light within her pulsed weakly, a flickering candle under an onslaught of winter winds. This was no ordinary nightmare. The shadows surged forth, and she felt their darkness seep into her, thick as fog, murky memories flooding her mind, moments when fear took root, forcing her to turn away from those she loved and ultimately leaving her to travel this hellish path alone. Then she saw it. A figure crouching just beyond the reach of her faltering light. A small child, barely recognizable, dirted and thin. "Get away from her!" Jessica screamed, panic flooding her as she instinctively reached out. "Mom?" The girl's voice trembled, a mixture of hope and despair. "Lily." The name sounded foreign on her lips, twisting in the darkness. But something in the small figure felt wrong. The eyes were too wide, too hollow. Jessica felt a cold dread seep into her bones. "No, you're not her." The figure huddled closer to shadows swirling around it, its giggle echoing off the walls of despair. "I know what you've done. I know the secrets." Jessica's heart sank. Haunted by her past mistakes, fears, and lies, she couldn't let them overpower her. She couldn't let the darkness define her. "You don't control me," she yelled, summoning her weakened light once more. The shadow child grinned, the smile splitting its face grotesquely, revealing a void where a normal tongue should be. "You still don't get it. Your light brings me power. It feeds the dark." Sickening realization stung her. This was a darkness tethered to her, born from her own failures. She de-summoned it, fed it with her pain. With her next words, she raced against the creeping despair. "You are not my daughter. You are nothing but a phantom." A fear made real. The silhouette recoiled, shadows hissing as if they were alive. She surged forward, pushing her energy outward, the warmth blurrily illuminating the dark gallery of twisted thoughts and regrets. A fierce resolve burned within her. "Leave my mind. Leave her alone." With a brilliant flash, her light erupted, momentarily blinding the darkness. For a heartbeat it seemed she had one. The laughter stopped, the shadows quivered ominously. But then a low rumble began, deep and malevolent. The darkness roared back, enveloping her again, weaving through her defenses. "You can't escape. You are forever entwined with our secrets." Jessica stumbled, the ground beneath her shifting, breaking apart as more figures sprang forward, faces that formed from the memories she desperately wished to forget. Each one whispering dark truths, every name a stab to her heart. "You ran away. You left me. You abandoned us." Despair seized her, but she couldn't give in. "Not now. Not ever. Fight," she commanded herself, her muscles tightening, her breath quickening. "You are stronger." But the shadows spun faster, louder, drowning her spiritless roar as darkness clawed toward her, determined to pull her back down. The truth she had tried to hide now threatened to consume her whole, and in the deepest pit of her gut, she felt it, a flicker of realization, a question she dared not ask. What if the darkness had always been part of her? As the cacophony rose to an overwhelming climax, she grasped the flicker of light desperately. Would she let it die? Or would she embrace the ultimate confrontation with the darkness that clung to her soul? With a final scream caught between hope and despair, the ground beneath her trembled with anticipation for what might come next. Jessica's scream echoed, reverberating through the blackness. The tremors beneath her solidified into a churning mass, a rushing river of despair and regret that threatened to pull her under. She felt herself sinking, the darkness wrapping around her body like an anaconda, squeezing the life from her. "Embrace it," the voice hissed, the shadows curling around the words as if they were alive. "You belong here." "No." The word shot from her lips, fierce yet trembling, but the shadows only howled back in a cacophony that pierced her thoughts, overwhelming her resolve. Memories erupted in swirling flashes, a night of laughter that twisted into rage, a soft, cradled moment that turned into bitter silence. "What have you done, Jess?" The voices chorused, a haunting choir that sent shards of ice down her spine. "You think you can outrun us?" The weight increased, dragging her down deeper, smothering the flicker of light she clung to. Felt so familiar, this aching pressure. She could sense it all around her, clawing at the edges of her sanity. Images of lost opportunities flashed before her. A phone call never made, a hug never given, secrets tucked away that had festered into wounds too deep to heal. A flash of something broke through the flood, a scene of Lily, giggling as she chased a butterfly on a sunlit afternoon. Jessica's heart seized. That warmth was what she fought for, what she was willing to die for. "Think, Jess," she urged herself, her breath short, ragged. "What does Lily need?" Suddenly, a brilliant pulse surged from her heart, igniting the light within her. It pushed back against the shadows like a sudden dawn breaking through an oppressive night. "Mom!" The echo came again, but this time it held a different weight. It shifted from despair to an urgent call, breaking through the noise. "Lily!" Jessica called back, though her heart trembled. Was this truly her daughter, or just another illusion crafted by the darkness? "Yes, here," the shadows taunted, wrapping tighter, forcing her to confront her failures. "You let her slip away." "No," Jessica roared, and for the first time her voice held power. "I will not let you take her from me." The shadows shrank momentarily, faltering under the intensity of her opposition. A sudden clarity surged through her mind. What if the key to banishing this darkness lay not in fighting it but in embracing it? The darkness was part of her, a ugly scar from battles she thought were buried. Lily was never lost. "I was," she shouted, her voice cutting through the shadows. "I was the one lost in fear of failure, fear of loss. But I will not let that define me." The darkness burst forth in a shriek, angry and wild. It writhed and twisted, momentarily losing its grip as Jessica's light blazed brighter, forging ahead driven by her memories of love. She could feel the light sifting through her, cleansing remnants of shadow stubbornly lingering. But a sudden jolt of foreboding hit her like a thunderclap. The darkness was not gone. It lurked, gathering its strength, readying for one last strike, and the air crackled with tension. "You think you've won?" it shrieked, its voice a furious wail. "You can't escape your past." With the chilling reminder of her past failures echoing behind her, she pushed forward. "No, you don't define me." The ground shook again, but Jessica was resolute, her heart blazing with renewed purpose. Yet, as she took another step, she felt a sharp pain hit her chest, a memory surfacing with undeniable clarity, wrapping itself around her throat. In the distance, behind the wall of shadows, she caught a glimpse of another figure, a woman, cloaked in darkness, whose face mirrored her own. "Who are you?" Jessica gasped, dread creeping into her voice. "Are you ready to face the truth?" The woman whispered. "Because it's time to choose what you really want." The shadows held their breath, the suffocating darkness thickening once more. A cold grip tightened around Jessica's heart. Would she dare to look upon the truth, or would she continue to run from it as she had always done? As she stood on the precipice of the unknown, like a moth drawn to a flame, the darkness buzzed with anticipation. The crucial moment loomed, and with it, the answer to the question that could shatter her or set her free. Jessica stared into the void of shadows, the other woman's eyes gleaming like twin flames in the darkness. Those eyes, how they burned with truths she wasn't sure she was ready to face. "Choose," the woman urged again, her tone laced with an eerie familiarity. "The truth can either free you or swallow you whole." Fear clawed at Jessica's throat, the dark whispers spilling around her like a tidal wave threatening to crash over. "What truth? What do you want from me?" "Everything," the woman replied, stepping closer, her figure shifting like smoke. "All the parts of you that you refuse to acknowledge. The hurt, the pain, your regrets, they're your chains. And only by accepting them can you truly be free." Jessica's heart raced. "Chains?" The word echoed deep within, resonating with memories she had long buried. Nights spent crying alone, mornings filled with pretending. Could embracing her past actually grant her strength? Or would it tear her apart? The air thickened, a sense of urgency tightening around her. She thought of Lily, the laughter they shared, the hugs that held them together against the world. "I can't," Jessica started, the words choking her. "Yes, you can." The woman's voice rose above the shadows, fierce and demanding. It was a call to arms echoing from the depths of her very being. "You want to save her, don't you? The only way through is forward. You have to look closely, Jess." At that moment, a tremor shook the ground beneath them. She willed her heart to slow, catching a glimpse of her own reflection in the woman's eyes, a distorted version of herself eaten away by fear. Each flaw, each regret glared back, rippling like the surface of a disturbed pond. Suddenly, shadows erupted around them, swirling violently. "You dare?" they howled. "You think you can handle the truth? You can't even handle yourself." Jessica fought against the rising tide, feeling the shroud of darkness suffocating her spirit. But the woman smirked, a challenge in her eyes. "You must confront it. Show them you are more than your past." With a defiant roar, Jessica braced herself, remembering Lily's soft laughter, the pure innocence shining in her daughter's eyes. "I am more. I choose love," she shouted, forcing the shadows to tremble. "Love?" The darkness crooned mockingly. "Love can't save you. You'll need more than that." The other woman stepped aside, revealing a doorway formed of shadows, a portal glowing with a hint of the light Jessica had ignited within. It shimmered, beckoning her. "This is your chance. Step through and find out." As the shadows writhed in fury around her, Jessica hesitated. What lay beyond that doorway? Every fear clawed at her heart, but every whisper of courage urged her forward. Could she truly face what waited on the other side? With a deep breath, she took a step toward the portal. A painful surge shot through her chest, like a knife twisting deeper with every heartbeat. "Wait," the voice caught her, desperate. "You won't like what you find." But she pressed on, determination coursing through her veins. The world warped around her, bending as if time itself shivered in anticipation. Just as Jessica was ready to leap through, she felt a hand grasp her shoulder, cold and clammy. Spinning around, she found herself face to face with her own reflection, now no longer masked by darkness. It grinned wickedly, eyes alight with malevolence. "Are you sure you want to do this?" it asked, a challenge wrapped in temptation. "What if you don't like the answers?" Jessica hesitated again, fear mingling with the fire in her heart. The figures were closing in, reality bending around her. "Stay," the shadowy figure commanded, its grip tightening as it awaited her response. The weight of her past heavy in the air, Jessica's breath quickened. The final choice loomed ahead. Would she leap into the unknown, or allow fear to pull her back into the suffocating dark? "Choose wisely," it whispered, the darkness closing in, making the very air thick with dread as shadows roared and reality warped. Jessica felt the pulse of freedom threading through the darkness, the struggle for her daughter's love and the truth aching to be found. Would she answer the call of her fears or confront her deepest truths? The pulsing light flickered, teetering on the edge of the precipice. As she looked into her own determined eyes, an unrelenting question bubbled beneath her surface. What lay in the darkness, waiting for her to uncover it? Jessica's heart hammered like a drum as the shadowy figure loomed closer, its grip unyielding and freezing against her skin. A wave of panic surged through her veins. Could she really face whatever lay ahead? The moment stretched, every tick of time heavy, as if the universe itself held its breath. "Step back," she gasped. "What do you even want from me?" The grin on her reflection widened, morphing into something grotesque. "Don't you see? I am everything you fear. I am the weight of your grief, the screams you swallowed, the whispers of regret you keep buried. I'll show you true anguish." Black tendrils snaked around her legs, pulling her towards the sullen depths of the shadows. Desperation clawed at her throat. Thoughts of Lily danced like fireflies in the distance, fueling her resolve. "No, I won't let you take me." Her voice rang out, a scream cutting through the darkness. But with every declaration of defiance, the shadows laughed, a chilling cacophony that echoed through the void. You can't escape your own soul, Jessica. To be free, you must face what you've created. In a surge of will, she tore herself from the figure's grasp and turned back to the shimmering portal. I choose the truth, she shouted, confusion and courage battling within her. The shadows recoiled, as if struck by her determination. With one final push, she lunged into the unknown. The instant she crossed the threshold, the world exploded around her. A kaleidoscope of sensations hit like a piercing chill, dragging her through a vortex of memories she had not wanted to relive. She arrived in a familiar place, a dimly lit room filled with half-forgotten echoes of laughter, her childhood home. But it was warped, twisted by an undercurrent of despair. The walls dripped with grief and heavy shadows lurked in the corners. Welcome back, the echo of a voice called out, one she recognized instantly. Jessica's breath hitched as her mother appeared, but the warmth in her voice was replaced by a sinister edge. You've come to face your demons. Are you ready, Mom? Jessica whispered, every word sticking in her throat like shards of glass. The shadows in the room solidified into phantoms, a younger Jessica, old arguments, the pain of loss. Each ghost shifted and shimmered, pulling her deeper into the murky waters of her past. Each one a fragment of hurt she'd tried to escape. Look at the mess you've created, her mother chastised, shaking her head. This is your doing, Jess. You have to own this. Terror twisted in Jessica's chest. No, I didn't want this. She clapped her hands to her ears, trying to drown out the sound of her thoughts fragmenting, her heart racing into a panic. But the phantoms closed in, weaving a tapestry of all her failures, a suffocating embrace of despair. The air turned icy and thick as the shadows twisted menacingly, setting in motion a terrifying truth. Dark memories spiraled around her, a car crash, a lost friendship, secrets that slipped between her fingers like sand. In that moment, she understood. She was both the victim and the villain in her own story. Just as despair threatened to engulf her, a glimmer of resistance ignited from inside. As she struggled to say, fighting through the fog, I can't keep running. I need to face you. With that declaration, the shadows recoiled, momentarily giving her space. Jessica felt a flicker of hope within the storm of darkness. But was it too late? Face what you've lost, Jess. It will be your salvation, echoed her mother's voice. In that fragile moment, the portal began to flicker behind her, showing the life she wanted, a reunion with Lily, a chance at redemption. But it was disappearing fast. Would she embrace the truth and confront her past, or bolt back to the safety of ignorance? Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught her eye. A shadow flickered at the edge of the room. It wasn't one of her memories. It was something new, something watching her, holding its breath. What are you? Jessica's voice trembled, fear gripping her once more. And as the shadow stepped into the dim light, revealing a face she knew all too well, dread sank into the pit of her stomach. She hadn't just brought her past with her. She had awakened something far more sinister. What awaited her in the shadows, lurking and hungry for the truth? Would she have the courage to uncover the danger lying in wait, or would the nightmare cease to remain in the past? Jessica stood paralyzed, staring into the familiar yet twisted face of her mother, a ghost from a long-buried past. Shadows wove around her, weaving memories into a tapestry of despair. The air crackled with electricity, a suffocating weight that held her in place. This is your doing, Jess, her mother's voice echoed, harsh and taunting. You have to own this. No, Jessica cried, feeling the sharp sting of pain in her chest. I didn't want this. The phantoms surged forward, a wave of accusations crashing around her, lost opportunities, loving moments shattered by silence, past mistakes festering like infected wounds. Each figure whispered her failures, their faces contorting with mockery. You're weak. You've lost everything. You'll never escape this. But in the depths of despair, a spark ignited within her. In that moment, she remembered Lily's laughter, the pure joy that could slice through the darkness like a beam of sunlight. No, I refuse to be defined by fear, Jessica shouted, rallying against the suffocating dread. I will face my demons, and I will reclaim my light. As if in response, the shadows contorted violently, recoiling from her declaration. She could feel the warmth of her resolve pushing against the dark, illuminating the murky depths that threatened to consume her. But the shadows writhed back, whispering threats, trying to snuff out her growing flame. Look at what you've lost. Look at your failures. They hissed, surrounding her. They pulled at her, dragging her deeper into the pit of her regrets, tenderly caressing the memories of pain. Jessica trembled, biting her lip to hold back the flood of emotions that threatened to overwhelm her. No, she roared, summoning all her strength. You don't control me. With every ounce of will, she reached deep within herself, focusing on the love she held for Lily, a love that was both the anchor and the beacon. I choose to embrace my past, to learn from it, but I will not let it define me. With those words, light erupted from within her, dazzling and fierce, pushing back against the shadows. The phantoms shrieked, their forms twisting as her inner strength surged, swirling like a vortex. The darkness began to shatter, spitting bitter shadows into the air. You can't do this, her mother's reflection screamed, rage alight in her hollow eyes. You'll never be free. But Jessica stood firm, taking a step towards the light. Watch me, she declared, feeling the exhilaration of releasing her burdens. Memories of joy filtered through the darkness, her laugh with Lily, the simple moments that defined their bond. Those were the memories she had to hold on to, the love that would bind them tight. The shadows melted under the brightness of her resolve, scattering like frightened mice. They howled, twisted, contorted in futile attempts to regain control. But Jessica pressed on, gathering the remnants of her past, threads of pain woven into her own tapestry of strength. She inhaled deeply, pushing toward the portal, the way back to her daughter. Lily, she called, her voice echoing in the void. I'm coming. With one last surge of courage, Jessica leapt towards the glowing doorway, arms wide, accepting the truth of her past while embracing the luminous future she fought for. As she crossed the threshold, a golden light enveloped her, sensations of warmth and hope blending together into a bright tapestry. She landed with a soft thud on the familiar wooden floor of her home, gasping as the light began to fade. In that moment, she knew she had returned not just to the physical space of the house, but to the heart of who she was meant to be, a mother fighting for her daughter. Mom! A voice resonated, high-pitched and echoing with joy. Jessica's heart soared as she turned to find Lily rushing toward her, eyes wide and sparkling, no longer lost within the dark. Lily! Jessica embraced her tightly, breathing her in, the warmth of her daughter's love flooding over her like a life-affirming wave. It was a moment so tinged with relief, she thought her heart might burst. Oh, Mom! I was so scared, Lily sputtered, tears filling her eyes. I know, but it's over now, Jessica whispered fiercely, holding her daughter close. We're free. Together, they stepped out onto the porch, the sunlight breaking through the clouds, casting away the shadows that had so recently threatened to consume them. The little house felt different now, as if the air was lighter, the past released from its haunted grasp. Jessica locked arms with Lily, looking towards a brighter future, knowing the darkness had been faced and conquered. We can start fresh, together, Jessica promised, her heart swelling with determination and hope as they walked away from the house. The weight of the past lingered, a reminder of their battle, but also a testament to their strength. They had survived the darkness, and from the ashes of their fear, they would rise, hand in hand. Now it's your turn. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to our channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep the good vibes flowing. Flood the comments section with your reactions. What did you think of the ending? Did you see the twists coming? I want to hear your theories. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. True fans know that only by supporting our channel can we keep bringing you more tales like this.